We've heard it from the movie makers, now we get it from the game makers. And here we have it, Xbox to get a new game from a legendary Japanese franchise. So what I mean by hearing it from the movie makers as well is that they want to lean into sequels. They want to lean into games that you and I are familiar with by name only, and they can do with whatever they want within the contents of it. They've decided that making new properties is just too risky, especially after the smashing success of Concord that made it a whole 2 weeks before being dust-binned. You see, that got deep sixed. Remember that? Nobody remembers Concord these days unless you want to talk about bad character designs. But that was $400 million that Sony threw at a brand new franchise that they thought was going to replace Star Wars in cultural significance. All right? So, learning from their competitors' mistakes, Xbox and Microsoft decided they were going to go with a sequel. Okay? So, most of this is not confirmed. It just comes from Jez Corden during a conversation about the developer direct announcements that are coming out soon, okay? This does not confirm any game mentioned in this video. I just want to specify that, okay? Pure speculation here. This interview doesn't name any game specifically. It really doesn't narrow down the clues, but they do give us one very big clue about what is leading, or at least what's on the mind of Jez Corden while having this conversation. So, what Jez goes on to explain here is that this IP has decades of history, and the revival of it will make fans very happy. And so, it says there's a new entry into the game. So, this means that we're not going to be getting a game that's already existing in Japan. So, for you guys hoping for a Mega Man game, or perhaps a new Persona game that hasn't made it to the US yet, probably not. Probably not going to be the game that comes over. This smacks of something brand new. Like they reached out to a publisher and they were like, hey, can you make another installment of this and we'll make it an Xbox exclusive. And that's what it sounds like to me, is that this is going to be a game that is very much just sort of, it might feel random to some people, but this next sentence kind of squares off what they were actually up to, I think. So this is Jez Corden continuing his statement about making fans very happy. And he says, indeed, Microsoft has won some strong support from the region lately. This is over in the Asian demographics, Korea, China, Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, the Philippines, Indonesia, India, this sort of space. And so the region lately, from studios like Square Enix for Final Fantasy, Hoyoverse for Genshin Impact, and Sega/Atlas for Persona. And we suspect this new game will help further that trend. So, in your mind, picture what this guy's talking about when he's reciting these things. Final Fantasy has a very distinct aesthetic to it. When you know a Final Fantasy character because they're covered in belts. You know what I mean? It's this kind of attitude in the game, and the protagonists are usually dealing with like an overwhelming force, right? Again, I'm just trying to point to what's on this person's mind while they're talking about this mystery game that we don't know about, okay? And so on January 23rd, here in a few days, we're going to find out what they're talking about. But before we get there, right? Before we get there, I want to speculate on this. So we heard about Hoyoverse and Genshin Impact. We heard about Final Fantasy, and we heard about Persona. What do these things have in common? That's right. They're very themed to the region, if you will. Very themed to the region. The masked thief genre in Japan, very popular. Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger was all about this concept. You had Super Sentai heroes, Power Rangers, if you're not familiar with what Super Sentai is for some reason. Perhaps you're under a rock. I'm not sure. Feel free to Google it. It's pretty good. So they did a series about phantom thieves versus police. And so this is a popular genre. We've seen this repeated over and over again. Tuxedo Mask from the Sailor Moon series is a phantom thief styled character. He's not just a top hat wearing weirdo that leaps through the night as portrayed in the American adaptation. The phantom thief has a very long-standing and romanticized sort of genre in Japan. It's not too far outside of those shores that has that kind of power, if you will. In the U.S., a comparable one would probably be the genre of fast car gets away with crime. That's probably a comparable genre to the Phantom Thief in Japan. Not like in the same like one-to-one, but in the cultural significance. It is man in car get away with crime, and man in top hat with mask gets away with crime, you see? or at least behavior that is outside of what the police would like you to do. Let's put it that way. Now, for Genshin Impact is, of course, not based in our world, has its own rules, its own culture, own reality as it is. Like where Persona is sort of warped from our reality, and Final Fantasy wants to borrow from our reality, but mingles in things like chocobos. I miss chocobos. We need more chocobos. There needs to be a chocobo racing game, 100%. But back to Genshin Impact. The thing with Genshin Impact is that it is very much geared to appeal to people who like the overdressed anime character, in my opinion, right? The over-designed anime character. I keep whacking my mic. I'm very sorry. It's a new mic. You have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. You do too. So, in my opinion, a lot of the Genshin characters are over-designed. I'm a minimalist. I don't, people out there like their little trinkets and dangly parts and all their layered clothing with the weird piping and pinstriping and gloves and friffy floofy stuff. It's over the top for me. It's just too much, But I get it, There's people out there that prefer the Dragon Ball Z aesthetic. Man in tank top beats alien's butt. That's ta-da, we're done. But that's Genshin Impact again does the overdressed, over kind of character, but they're very, very geared toward the Japanese, Korean representation of that, right? So over in the West, we'll have an overdone character that's just sort of lights and LEDs and all sorts of crazy armor aesthetics that just make no sense whatsoever. They're just there to be flashy and sell toys. Now, in Japan with Genshin Impact and Final Fantasy and Persona, these characters are all geared toward a specific aesthetic, all right? And so, in my mind, when you bring up games like Final Fantasy, Hoyoverse, Genshin Impact, you're really trying to hone in on what appeals to a Japanese admiring fan base, if you will. And as I indicated just a minute ago, Genshin and Persona and the multitude of other games that are born outside of what is like Final Fantasy's normal look, right? These games are all reporting back to the Japanese aesthetic, to that aesthetic that established itself in the Final Fantasy games. Look at Sephiroth. With Sephiroth, just a few minor adjustments in the art presentation, and he is a Genshin Impact character. Really, just put him into the Genshin Impact art style, and he fits right in. The same thing with Vincent Valentine. Right? These are Final Fantasy VII characters because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Sorry, I'm a terrible casual when it comes to Final Fantasy. The only reason I know about Titus is because he has that really weird laugh. Okay, that's it. Where he's just like, ah ha ha, ah ha ha. You remember Titus's very genuine and true laugh that warms the hearts of everyone. You remember that, right? Good old Titus. But what I'm getting at is what this game possibly could be. Now, before I reveal to you what I think the game is, right, I'm going to go down here and show you, again, Insider Gaming had their own idea about this. So here's Sam Sepio, I think that's how you say it, Sepio. And he has this to say about it. Again, I don't know why this isn't under rumor, but it's one of those things. It's kind of news because Sega filed for a trademark, but I don't know. So the title reads here, Sega's new trademark could be the secret game at Xbox's Developer Direct. Now, I don't think so, but here we go. Sega's trademark for Ecco the Dolphin and Echo went public today, and players believe this could be the surprise game at the upcoming Xbox Developer Direct. Okay, so if you don't know, here's some information about the trademark thing, that kind of stuff. Feel free to pause it and take a look. Here you go. Here's the whole thing. It doesn't matter because it's not Ecco the Dolphin. This might be a mobile game that Sega's trying to produce, but Ecco the Dolphin is kind of an undersea exploration game. It also has some above-level stuff. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it felt an awful lot like a real physics dolphin, mostly real physics dolphin doing Sonic adventures, and I missed it. I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, I'm really not into Flipper the game, and so I moved on from it. I was one of those kids. So I don't think it's Ecco the Dolphin. Ecco the Dolphin did have multiple iterations, multiple installments, but I really don't believe that this is the stunning fan-pleasing, decades of love kind of game that Jez was talking about here, to be revealed at the developer direct at Xbox here on the 23rd. It's one of those things where it also kind of doesn't fit with Midnight Claire, the Obscure Expedition, Doom: The Dark Ages. Doesn't kind of fit there. It's like, yeah, we got these very south of midnight, and then Claire Obscure Expedition 33, that kind of thing. And so, or obscure, maybe it's obscure. Do you say obscure? Is that how you say it? Anyway, the kind of comes out of place. Like, we've got this very serious context here, Doom guy, and then a dolphin. That's why I don't think it's going to be Ecco the Dolphin, because that's quite an announcement, right? We got, oh, yeah, Doom's back, Doom the Dark Ages, yeah, Doom guy, heavy metal, and then we're just going to go right into Echo. Just like, hey, there's a dolphin, guys. Dolphin's back. You want to be a dolphin, right? You saw Doom guy killing demons. Now you want to be a dolphin. Let's go. No, they're not going to do that. I think they're going to go back to an old reliable here, someone that probably hasn't received enough love, but after the success of Black Myth Wukong and the success of Sekiro and the success of Ghost of the Titsukuma, yeah, anyway, I can never say it right, the Ghost of... Anyway, you'll have to let me know down below. But anyway, I think it's going to be Ninja Gaiden 4 or 5, whatever one we're on that now. Okay? I'm not a big Ninja Gaiden guy. I played it on the original system way back in the day. It was just part of, like, the yard sale collection that you got with, like, the console when people would throw these things out, Kid went to college. What do I need all these old cartridges for? And so off they went. So Ninja Gaiden is a game that fits with the aesthetic and currently what's popular right now. So the Ghost of Tenshin Kuma, I've said it wrong. Anyway, the ghost of that place, the spirit or whatever we're doing now, that's going to end up kind of probably painting the visual aesthetic of this game, right? And so we're going to see probably a bit of a revision of the Ninja Gaiden lore in order to kind of revitalize it, but I don't think they're going to, like, reboot it. I think you're going to see, like, a soft reboot to kind of give Ninja Gaiden a bit more legs to expand itself off of, to continue to roll going here, because they're going to do another Black Myth Wukong game. You and I both know it. So this is an excellent complement to that, right? So that's in my opinion, because when I think of these games, I don't think of... When this guy's talking about Final Fantasy and Persona and Genshin Impact, I don't think of a dolphin, right? And it would be very strange for this person to be thinking of those games and studios when it's going to be the mystery game is going to be about a dolphin, right? Now, granted, Ninja Gaiden's characters, good or bad, do not dress like the Final Fantasy, Genshin Impact, and Persona characters, so this could be wrong. I went with the fashion angle on that in this video because that's the common thread that's very easy to verify between all of them, okay? The over-designed nature of the character designs. Now, that has nothing to do with Ninja Gaiden, but it's a common thread between all three of them that links it back to the Japanese aesthetic, in my opinion, which Ecco the Dolphin doesn't really obey, okay? So that's my thinking about it. I know it's convoluted and upside down and backwards, wibbly-wobbly and timey-wimey, but if you think it through, this person is thinking about these games because they represent a common theme, which is the Japanese aesthetic. And I can't think of anything more Japanese-y, if you will, than Ninja Gaiden. It's got ninja in the name. Doesn't get any more Japanese-y than that. But maybe I'm pie in the sky over this, guys. Maybe I've got, high hopes for Xbox actually pulling their head out of the mud and realizing that a Ninja Gaiden game would probably do pretty well right now in this climate. But, we may find out in a few days that it is Ecco the Dolphin coming back for whatever reason. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, guys, good luck out there.